is our education system in some way, making it's like, for example, first become an engineer, then you decide what you want to do, right? So that's pretty much how all of us are. Like, when many of us were in the 10th and 12th standard, it's either engineering or medicine. Probably in up north it will be UPSC also, right? But that's the three pretty much thing, right? So first you do engineering, then so if you see quite a few people in the film industry have engineering, and then this, and then there is some quite a few in. So do you think that can be the way we have? Is that an obstacle that we've created for ourselves, saying that these are some fields which you should first get into that, and that's because our parents thought are well-intentioned, possibly, but wanted us to do that.
I feel education system could be one, but I also believe that it is also a function of scarcity versus abundance. The reason we are seeing this movement now, where a lot of people are trying out everything, this used to be in US when we were thinking of engineer and doctor. It used to be there. They will pivot, they will do different things. I have known of people who have done a master's in a different subject, PhD in a completely different subject. I'm like, how can you do that? It just, but they were used to it. I think it's a difference of scarcity and abundance, and glad to be sitting here, and I'm sure we have contributed on that ecosystem and the economic improvement that India is going through, which is glad. But I believe it's a combination of that, and therefore the education policy is also changing now, right? So the new wave of the new education policy will have these elements baked in, I feel. That's just my view.
Awareness, a big factor in what's happening today. I think the exposure to information was so much less earlier compared to today. And today you find that so many people can make a living out of doing different things.
Correct.
And that perhaps gives a lot of confidence to the parents to say that go and ja simran apni zindagi ji le, as we say.
No, so that's what I meant with abundance.
And I think it's about, see again, I think what we are discussing is around the core and the context, okay? The access to information, access to markets, access to customers has dramatically altered now, because today knowing the answer is not the strength. The ability to ask the right question is the strength. I believe a lot of our education system was designed at a time when the answers was known to somebody, and you had to wait for that individual to give you that stuff. So to go to that core, which is what skills do you want people tomorrow to possess to be able to survive, the life skills that they need. I'm going to be very blunt and say our education system, except maybe in a very few hand-picked institutes in this country, continue to be traditionally driven. And in my opinion, we are hurtling to a disaster. Thankfully, people have become smarter, people have become wiser, and they are not looking at education. They're looking at it as a entry criteria that they need to have, that's all. But having said that, the education system in the country, I don't think is preparing people for the new world that is coming out. No HR institution, for example, is talking about how to deal with gig workers.
Yeah.
In my opinion, even guys who are sitting in IT companies are practically gig workers today, right? They are working for at least 3 different firms and logged into 4 different sites. So the truth is, that's going to be a nature of employment tomorrow. I don't think we should get into this territorial thing saying you got to be with me all day, and therefore my systems, compensation systems, reward systems. The education is still oriented in that way, but I'm saying the world context has changed a lot. And therefore, we need to deal with both. I think that's a big shift that we need to deal with.
Great.
Yeah, I just feel that, ask yourself, when was the last time you took risk? And if the answer is always, when my basics are taken care of. It's as simple as that. Now, we all now know that, the reason why I come back to you and say engineering karna hai, doctor karna hai, ye karna hai. Why do people say that? Not because nobody said, hey, you're going to build bridges and hence you want to be an engineer. You're going to save a life, hence you want to be a doctor. No. It's make sure that you have food on the table for yourself and your family.
Absolutely.
Now, believe me or not, if you really, I don't know statistics, this is my gut, that probably 50% of India is still there, and that's okay. The other 15%, the other 50% are at a point where it's like, don't worry, parents are in some shape or form saying, don't worry, I got this. So don't have to worry about a house, don't have to worry about your clothes, don't have to be worried about your food. Go. Do what you really think you are made for. So it's only a certain percentage of our population has that freedom to do so. And there is nothing wrong with the others who still feel that, hey, this is my livelihood. And rightly so. If you really look at all the large corporations that are coming to India, what are they really coming for? The answer is staring at you. It's on the wall. So, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I think as a country, there is so much of, so we are ambitious as a country, we are hungry as a country, and we are super smart as a country. So what it really means is I go back to who you are. So India has defined itself. Now the environment is changing, and you will see a lot of unicorns popping up. That's the pivot. So it's exactly, it's a country is pivoting. If you really look at how the economy has exploded. So it's just, yes, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing if some people are still saying, go do the engineering, go do the doctor. It's not a bad thing. It's really, really contributing to the larger picture. So I just want to kind of say that it's nothing wrong. We just said there's some set of people who have the money who are saying, go take a risk. The others are still in that zone of let me make sure that my basics are covered.
No, I agree with you. Isn't that it definitely is the road to progress and a better life for a large chunk of people. There's no doubt about it. But I would still see, I have seen instances where even the other half, so the son wants to say, I want to be a YouTuber, right? Or something like that. There is still some hesitation, but I'm guessing over time we will see more people being okay with YouTuber as a career.
It's not about doing engineering or medicine that is a problem. I think that's fine. If you want to become a chef, I think it's about having the right skills that you bring out in people while they are doing this program. Are you bringing out the curiosity? Are you willing, letting them do the risk taking? Are you helping them deal with conflicts and confrontations? The places where you go in to study today do not enable them or permeate those kind of behaviors, which I'm saying are the life skills that you need to do. It doesn't matter which program you
One
study.
of the epic statements is, are you ready to plug and play, or are you plug and pray?
Yeah, that's what.
So probably that's the system that we're in. Are you enabling people to just plug in and pray?
We just discussed, right? XLRI admissions, etc. It's funny, we ask a mechanical engineer, what is SOM? Oh, it was long ago. What was 3 into 7? 21. They say that I forgot. See, whether, like you rightly said, whether you're doing engineering, etc., are you having the right attitude? It's not about you have forgotten SOM. The real thing is you have never understood SOM. You understood multiplication, that's why on demand you are able to reproduce. So perhaps I'm of that opinion, life is like y is equal to f of x. We cannot control so many things. Education, policy, government, what happens when you enter. Maybe your class, end of the day, the institute might be great, but let's say you are 60 students in the class who are horrible, or you couldn't gel well. End of the day, it is about every child or an individual takes a decision which is parallel at or consistent at that point of life. At 10th standard, you don't have to take a decision of M&A of 500 crore company, correct? So at that point of time, no, I was a kid, so it just happened to me. No, every kid took a decision after 10th what to decide. So one is education system. Again, the industry, academia, and every institution has its own role to play. Academics and let's say industry reaches out for research, right? And that's what they get in return. Perhaps the time that we say people join and it takes 6 to 9 months, that's an average for a person to be billable and then adding value. How do we bridge this? Is something that, maybe it's an industry academia, but I take it like this. Every system knows what they want to do and what they're supposed to do. Let them take care of it. Do I take my own responsibility? That is something, it can be as simple as this. The moment the water bottle is, I can just keep it like this. Will I keep it like this at home? Half, the water is like that and I'll throw it away. the answer might be no. If I just go back to something on pivoting, I mean, I heard all of you on pivoting, and somewhere, it's not very common. So I'm really happy to, get all these views, because it builds confidence on what you are doing. Software engineer, 2 years of coding, programming, all of that. After MBA, I was in Aditya Birla Group, Telecom, Idea Cellular. It became Vodafone Idea. So I'll quickly run through how I mean, my pivots were. Maybe they were smaller, but I had some intentions. And yes, in hindsight, you think that yes, they were really pivots. But when you are in the process, you don't realize. When you come out of the process, when you see, oh, okay. So Telecom 5 years was supply chain. I joined in Cochin. I'm from Mumbai. First company was Mastech, which was in Mumbai, IT. Then second company was e-com, automotive startup from Europe Assistance, pick up and drop of vehicles. So it was again a different industry. And last 7 months, this is my fourth company after MBA, is Altus Group, which is in commercial real estate. And few points that you said, first 6 months, it's like you don't find oxygen. It's so difficult because suddenly you find whatever I've learned, whatever I've used, I don't know where it is right now, what can I use? But that's the grind, and then you enjoy the glory. And again, will education system equip me? Will my parents equip me? Yeah, my parents were against. My father is State Bank of India, 39 years. For him, Aditya Birla Group, you can retire, boss. Why you need to do this? What is startup? Where is Bangalore? And today I'm in Hyderabad. So yeah, at times you have to take an element of risk, go with your gut. Who am I? So that's where it helps. Maybe I can touch back with, you said CP Gurnani, right? I love chess, so I keep following that. Tech Mahindra did first global chess league. I kept writing to him, and they asked me, what you want in return? I said, I'm a chess fan, take me to Dubai, and they took me. So I mean, that's how it is. There are few systems in place, but like you exactly said, what am I saying? What am I becoming? What world wants from me? And end of the day, am I happy?
Yeah, I just want to add another dimension to all of this, right? And that's the dimension of shift in technology and shift in the way that the world is working. It used to be, let's say you were somebody who wanted to be an engineer, you weren't forced into it, you became an engineer. You became an engineer, you got a job in that field, and that was what you did for the rest of your life. That's going to change drastically right now, right? Everything is shifting, knowledge is shifting. And going back to the education system, our education system right now is still about acquiring knowledge, not about questioning how is that knowledge going to be applied in the world. That has to change, I think, desperately. Critical thinking is going to be absolutely necessary. Learning to learn and continuing to learn is another thing. There is no job today that says that is safe where whatever knowledge you had yesterday is going to guide you for the next 20 years. Everything is shifting. So pivots are going to be a natural part of, it's not even, I don't think it's even going to be called a pivot. You just stay relevant.
Staying relevant.
That's all it's going to be.
What it is. Staying
Every
relevant.
job is shifting in dynamics in various ways.
His skill is to ask, as Hari said, right questions in the right context and generate interest, convert interest into capitalizable statements and build industries. Look at how he built SpaceX. It's antithesis. He uses methane and kerosene, white kerosene, and he uses stainless steel. None of those are accepted by aerospace industry anywhere in the world. But he's a physics grad, basic common sense exists, and Tesla is totally different, opposite direction. Everything, eBay is very different. So if anybody can have the smallest amount of that critical thinking, common sense, and
Questioning the status quo.
yeah, the context is so important for you. It's
And
not
lots
the
of
technical
money.
knowledge.
And lots of money.
Oh, money came
he didn't have-
lots of
Came
times
later.
easily
He
for
came
him.
later.
He didn't have the money many times.
Well, there are a lot
First
of people who
principles.
have money but may not use it
Yeah,
in
that's
that
true.
fashion.
Yes.
That's again a very
99%
important
of them do not,
they don't
and they
do
fail
that.
also.
They didn't do that.
In fact, on that front, one of the things that he said, and this is kind of a digression from this subject, but one of the things he says is his strength is just going back to first principles on everything.
principles,
Yeah.
thank you.
Don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Which is probably part of pivoting as well. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Go into your new field, learn everything there is about that one, and apply what you already know to it.
And he practices to the hilt, Giri. I remember this, I don't remember if it's Tesla, SpaceX. They wanted ERP like everybody else want to have once they have grown. and the usual actors were called in, and the timelines were months, years, etc. He went against them and built one in 90 days. That I don't need all your fields you have, there are a zillion of them, I only need this is my requirements, let's finish it. So you have what it takes to challenge, you can take it to the culmination and bring something out of it.
In fact, Murli, taking a cue from that, the fact that you're an outsider gives you the greatest strength to ask the most stupidest of questions and get away with it.
Very true.
You know, back in 2017, I mean, as you know, Call Health is all about moving healthcare home. That's the whole idea. And in healthcare, if you look at it dispassionately, 70% is around diagnosis, trying to figure out what exactly is the problem. If the therapeutic, curative aspect is about 30%, meaning once you know what the problem is, you know what to do. There are methods to it. Most often than not, you don't get it right the first time. So the diagnosis is a big issue, which is where they go on doing iterative methods of blood test to next test to next test till they get to where it is. So having understood that, one of the questions I had asked at an early stage was, peritoneal dialysis is done at home, but hemodialysis is not done at home. So in 2017, I told my clinical protocol team, and it's a solid medical team that I have, I said, why can't we do hemodialysis? The first statement was, no, it can't be done.
It can't be done.
No, it can't be done. Because government rules don't think you have to have emergency system, right? So on and so forth. I went on asking for about 6 months, but I can tell you, say healthcare is also something that intimidates you. You can't say, I will do it, because then, you know, the issue is much bigger. Consequences are much more dangerous. So I tried for about 6 months, I gave up. And then after some time, Vikram, my good friend in Nephroplus, started setting up dialysis centers, right? He runs those. And Vikram started setting up, now that he can move it to a center, dialysis center, it's only a question of time before you move it home. What is the only issue? The only issue is your RO, your treated water and your technician and your machine.
Right.
So 2,500 rupees in a dialysis center becomes 6,000 rupees at home, but you can now do it at home, right? It has now been, whatever, 3 years, 4 years. We are also now in that game. I keep telling myself, we should have done it, man. 2017, we should have done this. Same thing with COVID. Thanks to KTR, when COVID vaccines came, everybody said hospital only. That was the rule, right? Only hospital, you can't do it anywhere else, and so on and so forth. KTR and Dr. Srinivas Rao were nice. They gave us the permission to do it in their Sirsilla, at home. We ran that at home with an ambulance standing by. So we were probably one of the first few in the country to actually take COVID vaccines home, not worrying about that AI and whatever that people talk about eventually, right? You had the backup systems in place, you had the intensivists ready, but you ran it. Of course, COVID vaccine was just another vaccine. Today, in hindsight, we will say so. At that time, there was a lot of fear. But I've just realized that what you said, whether it is Neuralink, SpaceLink, Tesla, you name it, whatever the guy is doing, I think he's able to go into the deepest of subjects with an extremely unadulterated mind.
Yeah.
And that, goes back to that comfort of an outsider. Insider gets worried. Insider gets burdened by knowledge. And, that is a big issue.
It is almost like a lot of top scientists who have really discovered things had not gone to schools, right? It is almost like that same thing.
It's like that 4-minute mile thing, right? Yes. Right? Till that guy did it, everybody said it's not possible. And the day it happened, in a few months, there are so many more people who did that.
Yes.
But if it gives any positivity to us, I think today we're hearing a lot of stories of these micro innovations all across the place. Okay, probably they're not Elon Musk for the world to know, but a lot of stuff is happening innovatively, and particularly after the COVID, people have become even more innovative in the way they're leading their life. Just the other day, I was interviewing someone, and they were talking about how they, converted their own workspace into a quarantine area and had all the facilities for the people there without risking them from commuting and things like that. To me, that's innovation. Yeah, you got pushed to it, but you did it. Okay. Then we talk about innovations. I was in the automobile sector. Innovations done at extremely low cost. That's what India needs in any case. That's, you call it jugaad, you call it whatever. People have done it, and vehicles are running with those innovations. It's just that probably we don't talk about it like, Elon Musk is quoted, but I think we need to wake up to see the number of people who are willing to break the rules to make things happen. And I think one of the things, Professor, with regard to academic institutions, are we able to pick these examples and bring it in front of the world so that it inspires, students as well as families who've been caught in this, security and stability mindset to say, this is a child who had nothing and he's done this. This is a young man or a young woman who's done this. Yeah, Rashi Batteriwali, one of the very famous women leaders, young woman leader. She's created such a small battery. It's like, it's explosive in what it can do. Okay, so I think there's so many stories of innovation, and I feel that it's about time that institutions, education institutions, start bringing these to the fore to sort of motivate a lot of people who come from very stable backgrounds to say, I'm better off than many of these, and I need to try something. I think that is,
If I'm not mistaken, a lot of institutes in India has taken that stance and have now incubators, I believe, where you can think of a new idea and they can help you fund and things like that, right? So that's happening.
And industry also needs to step in for that.
Absolutely.
It's not just the educational institution. Industry needs to set up.
Absolutely.
All the big industries need to lend their support to the academic institutions to say that, look, we're willing to do this.
The challenge with India, and I think Hari was alluding to that as well, I think some institutions are doing that, but a vast majority is still following the same thing that I think we have been following so far.
Replicate knowledge.
Which will not serve anybody anymore.
For me, Giri, there is a large education system, large parenting methods. The world is moving too fast. There are many dimensions to your problem, many variables to your problem which live in various dimensions, and they're progressing at various accelerations. The G is very different, the dimension is different. So sometimes the collision happens and you reach escape velocity, and hence the innovation happens.
You're reminding me of everybody should be Doctor Strange.
So, as you said, Subbu, as long as they're progressing and not deteriorating in some fashion, this country is so vast and so demographically different, they will exist perennially. We only have to make sure that they're moving in the right direction. You'll not be able to command any specific acceleration from these elements. You can provide an ecosystem and catalyze them as long as they move in the direction. As a country, we have enough quantity to suffice all needs of the world, and it is okay. It is okay.
And in some way, it gets the balance as well too.
No, and I think so going back to that, it's about how can institutes, and especially, you have a big role there,